Vince Gilligan, the man behind the two most iconic shows that ever existed on Earth, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, is absolutely back again with a mind-bending science fiction series, Pluribus, on Apple Plus TV. The man has once again made a comeback with an entirely new version of science fiction. With just 2 episodes, Pluribus instantly became a fan favorite for its groovy, unconventional way of telling a complicated story, with a similarly complex and conflicted protagonist. A classic Vince Gilligan move that has always made fans go crazy over his shows. The series revolves around an extraterrestrial virus that infects every human on Earth, through a shared psychic connection, except for some immune individuals like our protagonist Carol. Despite being detached from a hive mind, Carol has some sort of connection with it. As we saw in the episodes, her certain behaviors can hold her responsible for significant damage to humanity. So if you're wondering what a possible explanation might be behind this, you've come to the right place. In today's video, we'll try to clear your confusion regarding this alien virus and Carol's relationship with it. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. About 439 days ago, a group of researchers noticed a satellite capturing a radio signal coming from 600 light years away. It's kind of a repetitive pattern or a formula that looks like a piano keyboard. It was initially considered an extraterrestrial code, which turned out to be a nucleotide sequence composed of 4 individual bases: guanine, uracil, adenine, and cytosine. This whole thing somehow infected some animals on Earth, especially a lab rat, which then transmitted the virus to a lab worker through its bite. Then the virus spread among the lab staff through saliva exchange, and soon enough, it took over the entire world. The military intervened, but to no avail. As the transmission ramped up and began to spread more quickly, this lysogenic virus can act on human DNA, connecting it to a worldwide genetic network that creates a collective consciousness, or a hive mind, devoid of all emotions except happiness. The hive mind shares similar thoughts, knowledge, love, and affection amongst itself, which might not be a considerable threat, but it robs humanity of its autonomy and individuality. However, amongst it all, only 12 people remain immune to the virus. One of them is Carol, an accomplished novelist who writes dark romance novels that she herself believes are mindless crap. Carol's frustration about her life is pretty evident from the start, even though she's absolutely adored and appreciated by her dark romance girlies. She wants to get out of her comfort zone and write a complex novel, but the thing that she lacks the most is conviction. Her romantic partner and manager, Helen, who's probably the only one close to Carol in the world, thoroughly encourages her to write something that she believes in. Helen understands Carol's dilemma over her career and mental frustration with not being able to relish her own identity. Being a dark romance writer, she doesn't want to come out of the closet to make her sexual orientation public because she fears that might impact her fan base. She says her inspiration behind creating a charismatic hero is George Clooney, which she believes is a safer answer. All of it tells us that she's someone who cannot connect with her own writing, her fan base, or even herself, which makes her the most isolated character in the story. Returning from a book launch to her hometown in Albuquerque, at an airport bookstore, she spots her newly launched books kept in the lower shelf on a desk. She asks Helen to move it to the upper shelf, to make it more visible to the customers. This reveals that she might not be satisfied with her own work, but she doesn't want to compromise on her success as a writer. At a bar in Albuquerque, she and Helen finally unwind by having a couple drinks, but it didn't take long for the catastrophe to hit the town. The entire crowd in the bar, including Helen, had a massive seizure, causing Helen to fall to the ground and hit her head. Carol rushes her to the hospital, but everyone in town has already become part of the hive mind, except for Carol. Helen eventually dies in her arms. Carol remains uninfected by this disease of eternal happiness because of her misery and frustration, which is so overwhelming that the hive fails to establish any connection with her mind. The only loving connection Carol was able to form was with Helen, and now that she's gone, Carol is all by herself in the world to fight against this virus. The emotional connection between Carol and the hive mind. Despite her complete immunity to the virus, there's some sort of connection between Carol and the hive mind. That's because maybe the hive is trying its best to make Carol a part of their collective consciousness, but her constant fight is preventing that ultimate connection. In a world that is transformed overnight, it's hard for someone like Carol to stay calm. Whenever she loses her temper and lashes out, it causes a glitch in the hive, causing everyone on the planet to lose their stability for some time. They have rapid convulsions that can even cause death. Now this means Carol is unintentionally causing harm to a lot of innocent people in the world, but also, at the same time, this instability can be weaponized against this virus if she somehow manages to separate it from humanity. First incident, Carol's anger at Zoysa. Episode 2. The virus contaminated the water supply in every town in every country around the world, and just like everyone else on Earth, Helen became infected too. But she didn't turn into a host for the virus. Rather, she became one of the 886 million people who died due to the transmission. After Helen's death, she returns home to find one of the Hive Mind's representatives, Davis Taffler, trying to communicate with her about the virus through her TV. She listened to everything and had a hard time believing it all, so she turned to alcohol to numb her pain. In Episode 2, Zoysa, another representative of the Hive Mind, approaches Carol for some help, but Carol loses her temper and behaves badly with the woman. This causes Zoysa to have a seizure, as well as everyone in the surrounding area and all over the world. This was the first incident in which Carol realized her anger could disturb the Hive Mind, which established a vague connection between her and the virus. After Zoysa recovers, Carol wants to know whether any other individuals like her are immune to this virus, so that she can speak to them. Zoysa mentally establishes communication with the rest of the Hive, and schedules a meeting with Carol for the 5 English-speaking immune individuals in Spain. Second incident, the Bilbao meeting breakdown. Taking Carol with her, Zoysa reached Bilbao, Spain, to meet with the other 5 individuals, Otgon Bayar, Xiaomei, Kusimayu, Lakshmi, and Kumba Diabate. But the meeting didn't turn out to be very fruitful for Carol. These 5 individuals are not complaining like Carol because they're not alone like her. They have their family with them, alive and healthy, but as part of the Hive Mind, which isn't a very big deal for these people. They're not worried about humanity whatsoever, as one of these immunes, Kumba Diabate, would like to take advantage of this situation rather than worrying about it. In his defense, he says that the Hive Mind has brought peace in the world, which is indeed true, but Carol doesn't like to endorse this kind of peace by sacrificing human consciousness. During the lunch, all of the women who represent this Hive Mind are dressed the same, as if they belong to a harem run by Kumba Diabate, who just wants to exploit them. It enrages Carol, but in a way, she tries to keep her calm until she learns that a total of 886 million people died during the transmission period. She finds it a valid point to resist the Hive Mind, but Lakshmi, one of the immunes, lets her know that Carol herself has killed 11 million people just by being ill-tempered. The news came as a shock to Carol, who gets physically repulsed by the idea that she has become the biggest mass murderer since Stalin. It makes her vomit and even lose consciousness, leading Zoysa to reach out to her for help. But Carol gets even more furious because of that. She once again lashes out at Zoysa, causing other members of the Hive to experience another episode of convulsions. Carol's unprocessed grief as the core issue. From the outside, Carol's life is happening and glamorous in all aspects. She's an established writer with a huge fan base, as well as someone blessed with a partner who not only supports her emotionally, but also professionally. Still, Carol is the most miserable person in the world, because despite having it all, she can't enjoy anything. So, when Helen's death struck her like a thunderbolt, she couldn't process her grief for her lover. The world around her changed so rapidly that she had no time to process her trauma as well as her confusion. It's as if she's been constantly fed a lot of information that's beyond her understanding. All of these unprocessed feelings have been cumulatively affecting her mind, leaving her detached from the Hive. The Hive's vulnerability and fear. Seemingly, the Hive Mind is still at a very tender stage, and because of that, it fails to handle any negative emotions it encounters. This might be another reason why a lot of people were killed due to its initial joining process. The Hive Mind doesn't kill animals. They don't eat chicken or fish because they're just harmless individuals wanting eternal love and bliss to exist in the world. However, Carol's frustration and rage are not helping them thrive. Instead, her emotional outbursts are highly overwhelming to the joined, causing physical changes such as fits, loss of consciousness, and even death. Yes, Carol's rage can sometimes get so out of control that it becomes physically challenging for some individuals to overcome. At the lunch table, Lakshmi said that her grandfather, who had also become a part of the Hive Mind, had a fit and lost his life, along with those 11 million people who were killed due to Carol acting out on Zoysa. Carol feels guilty about her actions, which led to such horrible consequences. But in other ways, instead of feeling guilty, she might want to weaponize the Hive's weakness to act against it. However, it comes with the considerable risk of hurting or killing a lot of people. The impossible moral dilemma. Now this is a real pickle for Carol, who cannot back off from her moral duties, as a sensible human being who feels it is now in her hands to protect humanity from this kind of evil happiness. But at the same time, her acting out against it can cause many deaths. At the end of episode 2, we see some changes in her personality as she emphasizes with Zoysa, who could be a threat or just another victim in this situation. When Kumba tells Carol about his plan to go to Vegas with Zoysa, Carol gets repulsed by Kumba's tendency to think of women as mere objects rather than humans. For Zoysa, it was just another form of affection, because the Hive doesn't let her feel any kind of humiliation or bad feeling about it. Initially, Carol decided not to intervene, but at the end of the episode, she had a change of heart. She's ready to join Kumba on his trip to Vegas, because she cannot turn a blind eye to the bad things like other immune individuals. She has a voice and her own consciousness, which are still unaffected by the virus, so she'll probably try to use them to bring humanity back to normalcy. Marvelous verdict. It's highly ambiguous what the future holds for Carol, and this virus controlling an entire population of Earth. As of now, we have no idea who Zoysa is or how she became a representative for the Hive. Also, is Carol entirely on her own to fight the virus? Or might these 5 other immune individuals join her resistance later? In the upcoming episodes of Pluribus, we hope to resolve at least some of our queries. Until then, stay tuned to our channel for more upcoming videos on your favorite shows and movies. Also, if you liked our video, please hit the like and subscribe button on our channel. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.